Hi guys, it's the Backyard Guy, and I'm going to be showing you how to make dandelion wine. Out of all the wines I make, right now this is the one that is my favorite. I'm still trying to perfect a few others. So it is springtime in Michigan. I'm out in my clover plot, and I'm about to harvest some dandelions. Now, the recipe that I'm going to show you today, in the end, will produce 5 bottles of wine. So let's get started. All right, you're gonna wanna come out when it's sunny out, because if you come out too early in the morning, you'll find your dandelions closed, and that's because they exhibit a behavior known as nyctinasty. And that's where if it's dark or cool, they actually close up to protect their pollen and their reproductive organs. I've come out in the afternoon and they're all wide open and ready to be harvested. Now don't wait too long to get out. You don't want to have them all go to seed. We are going to need to gather 4 cups of dandelion, but not the whole dandelion, just the yellow part. So we have to extract it from the stem and anything green. So you're just going to want to pull it off. Anything green gets in there, you just pull it away and throw it aside. Okay, I got my first cup. 3 more cups to go. I chose back in my clover field because I wanted to, choose a place that didn't get a lot of foot traffic. I don't want to harvest a bunch of dandelions that have been stepped on. Also, I know that no pesticides have been sprayed back here, so consider those things. I have all my dandelions gathered. This is what 4 cups looks like. And we'll take this inside and we'll do the next steps. The next ingredient we're going to need is golden raisins. 12 ounces of golden raisins. Make sure you get the golden ones. And we're going to take them and dice them up in a food processor. It's important when you're dealing with wine that everything gets sanitized. So I have here a cleaner that's used for food equipment, and I already got 8 cups of warm water. So I'm just going to scoop a ½ tablespoon into this water and stir it up. All the equipment that I'm going to use, I'm going to rinse with this water, lay it out on this towel, and you don't even wipe it dry. Meanwhile, this is what those raisins look like after you've chopped them up. Here's my starting bucket that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to pour some of the cleaning solution in here, and then I can take it over a sink and swish it around. Okay, I'm in my basement here, so basically I'm just swishing the bucket around to make sure all parts of it get touched by the sanitizer, and then it can just go down the sink. There we go. Okay, while I was off camera, I put 12 cups of filtered water into this. And even the measuring cup I used to put the filtered water in, I made sure to sanitize. So you're going to be sanitizing all your tools, I want to remind you. I already sanitized this cup because I'm going to be putting 5 cups of sugar into this water here. 1. Alright, I have a mesh bag here, and I'm going to dip it in my sanitizer, kind of wring it out. And this is for my dandelion yellows and my raisins. So I'm just going to kind of carefully dump in first my dandelions. Try not to lose any here. And the mesh bag will allow you to get the sugars out of your fruits without having all the particles to deal with later floating around in your wine. So now I'm adding the golden raisins that I had chopped up. Okay. And now I'm going to want to tie this bag off so none of it comes out into the water. I mean, you're going to have some. No big deal. You don't want a ton. And I'm going to roll up my sleeves, and I'm just in this water. It's full of sugar and dandelions and crushed raisins and water, and I'm just giving this mesh bag a squeeze, trying to get all the juices out. I'm also at this point you know, kind of stirring up the sugar. Of course, I washed my hands. I didn't film that. I didn't think you needed to see that, but oh, I'm so excited. This is my favorite of my wines. So I spent a little while off camera squeezing that bag, and now you can see how my water turned a nice golden. It's time to use the Herculometer. This thing will tell us the water to sugar ratio, because when you're making wine, it has to be between a certain range. So hopefully in your house you have something that is kind of tall but thinnish. And I've already sanitized this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spill out my liquid into this thing and fill it up so that I'm able to float the Herculometer in it and get a reading. Okay, let's see what we got. So for wine, we want to be between 1.095 and 1.085. So we need to see this Herculometer go down. If you want to see it go down, you have to add water. If we needed it to go up, we would add sugar. So let's go ahead and add some more water. So it's always nice when you go to test this and it's right the first time, but for the purposes of this video, it's actually probably good that it was off a little, because now I can show you how to change it. So because of how much it was off, I have here about 2 cups of water, filtered water, and we're going to pour that in. Take my spoon, stir things up in here, mix it up, mix it up. And let's try that again. Okay, now we're sitting at about 1.090, so that's perfectly where we want to be. Alright, so let's pour that back into the bucket. Next, we're going to add our Campton Tablet. And what this does is it helps with oxygen. Oxygen is kind of your enemy with wine. We have to pre-dissolve this little tablet, so what I like to do is I take my measuring cup, put a little in here, and then put it in here, and then just kind of smash it up. And then I know I'm not adding extra water. I'm adding just, you know, the wine, or what will be wine, back into the bucket. Give it a little stir here. Okay. And we'll just pour that right back in. Next, there's this solution called acid blend. And we're going to put 3 teaspoons of acid blend into our wine. and that'll actually help with the different types of acid you would find in wine. And why that's important is because if you have your acidity at the right level, then it's a lot easier for your yeast to ferment properly. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to stir that up. Now we're going to add some tannin, just a 1/4 teaspoon. What this is going to do, because Dandelion Wine by its nature is a low tannin wine, this is going to add some complexity to the wine, and it's also, it actually helps in the clarification. So it looks nice. Alright, now it's time to cover the wine. Notice I didn't add the yeast yet. That's going to be a step for tomorrow. So the reason I'm covering it is just to prevent any fruit flies or anything like that from finding it. Now my wine bucket comes with a hole right here, and I'm going to put this little tool, which we'll use later in the video when we have it transferred into jars. And what it allows is for oxygen to leave, but nothing else to get in. And it's more important when the yeast does its thing and starts turning the sugar into alcohol, but I'm just going to use it to plug up the hole, and I use the sanitizing solution to fill with water, and I kind of just filled it halfway. Alright, we'll check back here on our wine mixture tomorrow and put some yeast in. Alright guys, it's time to add the yeast. I use Red Star, and you got to make sure it's actually wine yeast and not just any old yeast. And we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast nutrient. That'll make sure they have everything they need to get going and start reproducing new cells. So let's crack it open and see what we got. Here we go. Sprinkling on my yeast. Yeast is actually a living organism, and we're going to need 2 teaspoons of this. Looks like I'm about out of yeast nutrient. I'm going to have to add that to the grocery list. Yep, they're gone. Okay, just enough. Alright, I'm going to cap this back up, and we'll catch you again in the morning. It's the next morning after adding the yeast, and as you can see, it started to violently foam. This is a good thing. What I'm going to do is stir it up, and I'm going to be doing this for 3 to 7 days. And I'm going to do it in the morning, and I'm going to do it at night, so twice a day. And that yeast is starting to eat the sugars, and without being too gross, what they produce when they you know, go to the bathroom is alcohol. So alcohol is actually, I don't know, yeast urine, if you will. Alright, we'll close it back up. It's been 1 week, and it's time to do the next step. And you can tell it's time if you open up, stick your ear in here, and it's no longer violently foaming. So that's your cue. Now I've already taken the time to make more sanitizing solution, and I've sanitized what I'm going to need. And by the way, everything I use in my video you can get online in like a wine starter kit. So I'm going to need this jug, which I'm going to transfer the wine from here into here, and I'm going to leave behind all the little residue at the bottom, which I'll show you that. To do that, I'll need this tube, and we'll need this little guy again, and also a cap with a hole in it for my jug. So let's get started. The reason I changed locations is because there's a hardwood floor here. In case I spill any wine, I won't get it on the carpet. Also, it's a nice convenient place where I can get 2 different levels because gravity is going to play a role in what I'm about to do. So I've moved my glass jug here. And I got my wine here. And I'm going to stick this down in here. And then I'm going to just siphon it. And once it gets going, it's going to keep going until it empties. And the trick will be is I won't want to get all the slop that's on the bottom. And I can help this out by tilting it. Uh-oh. I somehow lost a siphon, so I have to start it back up again. I don't normally struggle this much doing this, trying to film it. This is giving me some extra challenge here. Okay, so that's pretty good. We can say goodbye to all this kind of cloudy slop, and we're going to clean out our mesh bag. I'll do that off camera. Okay, I have in here some filtered water, and what I'm going to do is just cap this off here all the way up to the top, because we don't want oxygen in here. Oxygen is the enemy of what we're trying to do next. And you're not watering down your wine at this point. This is figured into the recipe. This is your fermentation lock. You're gonna fill it up about halfway with the sanitizer solution that you use to clean your equipment. Okay. Pop this thing on, and pop this on. And now we're going to move it over to the wine jug. Push it down in there. What this accomplishes is it keeps oxygen from getting in and fruit flies, but as it ferments, oxygen is going to rise out, and it will go out up through the water and bubble out. Okay, so this next step where we just let things ferment is going to take you 3 weeks to 7 months. Depends on your level of patience. In the meantime, it can decorate your dining room. It's been well over 3 weeks, and it's time to do our next step. We're going to leave all that sediment down in the bottom, siphon out the good stuff, and there's even going to be some floaters here on the top. We're going to try to leave those, but as you've watched this ferment for 3 weeks now, you'll notice it's become clear and all the slop has fallen to the bottom. I went ahead and sanitized everything so you don't have to worry about watching that happen again. And I went through and sanitized all my equipment. I have with me a second glass jug, which I am going to place at a lower level than the one I'm going to be transferring from, so the gravity can do its thing. When I bought my wine kit online, it came with both of these pieces right here. So I'll just zoom in right here. As you can see, this part is has a little block, so that if I put this down into the wine, instead of sucking up from the bottom, it's going to suck in from the top and hopefully leave some more of the sediment behind. So what I do to make this longer is I just kind of hook it to my other tube. It's kind of an awkward process, but I do something like that. I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do. It's just something I've kind of learned to do over the years, and you can take it or leave it. Okay, here we go. First thing, I'm going to pop off my fermentation lock. I'm going to throw that into my sanitation solution that I have going on over here, get that all clean. We're going to use it on the next glass jug in a moment, as well as this top. Okay. Put this part down, and I don't want to go all the way to the bottom. I want to stay above that sludge. Here we go. And I can already tell it's starting to taste really, really good. Okay. And as you can see, it looks like we're leaving a lot of wine behind, but that's figured into the recipe, so don't worry about that. Some of the little petals have gotten in and evaded me, but I don't mind. It adds a little character to the wine. Alright, now it's time to fill this back up again, but first I want to just put in a little bit of filtered water, because I'm going to take a Campton Tablet and I'm going to crush it in here and pre-dissolve it before I drop it in the wine. So I like to just take the back end of the spoon and give it a good pounding, burn it to dust, and then stir it up in there. And the Campton Tablet will help sterilize the wine. It's time for the yeast to stop doing its thing, so it stops the wild yeast from going further, and kills any bacteria that might be in there too. Okay, so now I'm going to just get some more filtered water and top it off. It's time to reapply the fermentation lock on the new glass jug. I'm going to fill it up about 1/3 to 1/2 full of this sanitizing solution, and then put it back together. And this will allow any air to get out, but not allow any fruit flies or such to get in. Now from here, we can bottle our wine in 2 weeks or more if you want to wait longer. The day has finally arrived. It's time to bottle the wine. You can see there's no residue down at the bottom. If you've reached this step and you still have some gunk down there, you're probably going to want to rack it into another glass jug before you bottle. Once again, I've sanitized all my stuff off camera, but I wanted to go over the fact that we have to sanitize the bottles this time. These are just bottles that I've collected from store-bought wine over the years. The batch I made is going to make 5 bottles. So as you can see, this is a bottle though that I've already used. I made this label. There's software for that online, things you can buy, label making things. I won't get into that, but if you want to take it another step, you can design your own labels. We're going to put the sanitizing solution right into the wine bottle, and if I do this carefully enough, I won't mess up the label and I can use it again this year. Of course, I'll have to, I marked the year up at the top, so I'll have to redo that part. So I'm just kind of swishing this around and you know, letting it fall into the sink. And with sanitizing solution, you don't need to dry it, but I do want to get out most of the water. Okay everyone, it is go time. I'm going to take my fermentation lock off and toss it into the sanitizing solution to clean. And I'm going to have my bottle here at the ready and my next one up to bat. And I made the same little siphon thing that I rack back and forth between the glass jugs with. And so this is just something you kind of learn, and as you do it more, you'll spill less. I put a towel down on this stool, one that I don't mind getting wine on. I'm not such a professional at this that I'm immune to spilling myself. So, in fact, just to put this thing in here, I can already see I'm going to spill some wine. Yeah, that's fine. And as it rises up higher, I want to get my tube up higher and ready to go into the next one. There we go. That wasn't bad. And I got it up to the neck and I stopped. Move this aside and get a new one on deck here. Let gravity do its work. Not as smoothly that time. And what I'm going to do now is kind of tip this to make it deeper from where it's siphoning from. Just the right moment. I'll pour it out. And I spilled a little bit. But, and we're done with the siphoning. I'm going to cork the wine. Now these are unused corks. You can't reuse them like you did the bottle. And I have a wine corker here, and I'm going to chamber around. And one thing I want to show you is, see, this is a wine bottle that originally didn't have a cork. It just had a screw on top, and I was still able to cork it. So I'm going to just do that to my other 4 bottles here, and we'll go to the next step, which is my favorite. If you've done this right, you have some extra. It's time for the last step, the taste test. Our spring harvest has yielded a delicious and refreshing drink to enjoy over the summer. It's served great either at room temperature or chilled, and it is a delicious dry wine. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more Backyard Guy videos, just slam that subscribe button. Thanks.